Hey, thanks to Jared Cohn, my good friend Jay Co, for stopping by on the program and doing a round of the Nick Cage spectrum. But now it's time for my favorite part of the show. It's all by myself, and this is where you get in my mind. You get a little view into what I've been thinking about this week, a scary thing. I know, but this week I was thinking about a quote from a movie. It's, "Without hope, there's no true despair," right? It was spoken by Tom Hardy in the movie The Dark Knight Rises, and in that really bad, almost understandable, unintelligible Bane voice that he did in that movie. But that wasn't why I didn't quite get the quote and why I was stuck thinking about it. It was the fact that the definition of despair is lacking hope. There is no hope. So how do you need hope in order to know true despair, right? Didn't make sense. I just couldn't get past it thinking about it. And then I thought about one thing, right? Arizona sports and my Arizona sports fandom. And it started to make some sense, right? Without Kurt Warner hitting Larry Fitzgerald in the crisp air of Tampa Bay that one evening during the Super Bowl and Larry scampering for a touchdown, we don't know the true despair of Santonio, I can only get 1 foot down Holmes, scoring a touchdown with only 30 seconds left in that game. Without Larry, there's no Santonio, right? There's no true despair there. For the Suns, 1993, they enter the playoffs with the best record in the NBA. The most wins in franchise history was 62. First round, 5-game series, they fall down 0-2 to the Lakers. The hated Lakers looked like they could knock the vaunted Suns out of the playoffs. Then we get Paul Westphal's guarantee, right? And then the Suns rattle off 3 games in a row and they move on to the next round. Immense amount of hope. They go on and they beat San Antonio and they beat Seattle, and hope springs eternal, right? But without that hope, we don't have the true despair of John Paxson hitting a 3 and ending Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Coyotes fans, the true hope there is what seems like perpetual hope of a new arena and the love that Gary Bettman has for the Valley. The true despair, 2 decades worth of bad ownership that they've had since arriving to the Valley, right? Without hope, there's no true despair. And it starts to make sense. But nature's healing itself right now, right? And I'm not talking about the animals returning to places they haven't been in decades because people aren't around. Not that kind of nature healing itself. I'm talking about the nature of Arizona sports, right? And that nature is true despair, all right? We had the hope of the Diamondbacks, right? You felt good. You felt like, Starling Marte. They've got a big name. They've got some pitching depth. The hope's there, and now it kind of feels like they were the restaurant with the under new management sign hanging up. That the restaurant you didn't quite like the first time you went there, but you go, you know what? I'm going to buy in. I'm going to try again. I'm going to see what it is like this time. And you sit down and you have that hope. And you take the first bite and you realize the chef didn't change. The food is the same. The plan may be different, but the food is the same. You know, the Diamondbacks are that way, right? They go in and they lay an egg in their first series. They finished 1-3 in San Diego. And in a 60-game season, or until a COVID outbreak hits your team to prove yourself, there's not room for error. And error is what you got both on the offensive and defensive side and pitching for the Diamondbacks in Series 1. But wait, there's the Suns in Orlando, right? The bubble. There's hope. They're healthy for the first time all season. We're going to see these young guys play. They played pretty good in their preseason scrimmages, right? True despair came in the form of Monday, almost 30 employees getting fired because of restructuring within the organization. Yeah, that's right. Roughly 30 people got fired in a building that $150 million renovation is going on that's being paid for by the taxpayers. $150 million renovation in an arena, and 30 people just lost their jobs because they restructured the organization. No true despair without hope, right? Coyotes, they're in a bubble in Edmonton. They've got the best goalie tandem in the league. Great coaching staff, a lot of people will say. They've got a former MVP in Taylor Hall. They've got the makings of a group that could go and beat Nashville and make a run in the playoffs, right? They could break their playoff drought. Well, true despair came in the form of Wonderkin GM John Chaika deciding he may or may not want to go flirt with another team and then kind of lie. We don't know what the whole picture is, but what we do know is the Coyotes came out in a statement after Chaika decided to resign and said he quit on the organization, the team, and the fans. Yeah, that's right. We're pretty sure that's the first time ever that a team hasn't claimed them and their GM have mutually parted ways, right? But we've got the Cardinals still. There's still hope there, right? Reigning offensive rookie of the year, brilliant mind as an offensive coach in Cliff Kingsbury. DeAndre Hopkins, the best wide receiver in the game on the team. Defense, you got Patrick Peterson back, Chandler Jones, Isaiah Simmons joins the fold. Things feel good. There's hope there. But with our luck, they'll start 6-0. The fall will come, and so will a return to a second wave of COVID, and the season will likely get canceled. Now look, I know. It's kind of a little bit of darkness and sadness in the undisclosed walk-in closet in the East Valley tonight. But the reality is, the true nature of Arizona sports has healed itself. Despair has returned. And despite the fact that we had the hope of, sports coming back and a pandemic and a global recession and civil unrest, and we had that hope, we're being reminded why sometimes Arizona sports is frustrating to watch and why maybe we didn't need it to come back at all. Well, that's another edition of the Espo Show in the books here on Team AZV, the Arizona Varsity Podcast Network. Thank you to my guest, Jared Cohen, for joining the show for a little Nick Cage Spectrum. Always fun. We'll have him back for that. So for the Team AZV group, I'm Greg Esposito. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time here on the Espo Show.